Hello, so in this YouTube video I'm going to share something about how a raglan sweater should fit. So my take on this is that there are two main things that you need to think about to get a raglan sweater to fit well. The first is to have short row shaping going through the overarm or the longest bit of the arm, and the second thing is to have compound shaping. So you need to have two axes of shaping which are vertical and horizontal to get the sweater to fit well. So I'm going to show you what that means by way of my Kareen sweater, which is what I'm wearing now. And if you want to learn more, I also have a tailored sleeves masterclass, which I'll link in the description and remind you about at the end of the video. So that's the intro, and let's get into what is really important for raglan sweater fit. Alright, so here we've got our cut out raglan pieces. We've got the back, we've got the front. This is what you should have. And then we also have the sleeve piece, which will look something like this with the extensions at the top. So the point is that when you close these dart legs, you'll get a 3D form. So I'm just going to fold them closed like this, just very roughly. And you can see that it now wants to puff out and form a shape that is approximate to the underarm. So what I recommend that you do is that you stick this to the front and back bodice, just as we did for the set-in sleeve exercise in the previous module. So what this creates, as you can see here, is that that's going to create a fold in the fabric. You can see that the paper has created a kind of little beak or nose, and that, more to the point, it won't lie flat. So if I try and flatten this on the table here, you can see that the sleeve, it can't lie flat anymore. The only way it will lie flat is if I open out the dart legs again. But that 3D shape that we've wanted to create, it makes the paper assume a 3D form. And it's this kind of 3D form that we want to get into our knitted or crocheted fabric if we're doing a tailored raglan. The other thing, just before I leave this section, is that remember that the reason that this has got a 3D shape is because it's the shoulder. So remembering that the set-in sleeve, the top of that hits the shoulder bone, and that is a natural angle of the body anatomically, and that these extensions run in towards the neck. So that is the extra length that we want to get through the center of the sleeve, or the overarm as I'll call it. And that's why you'll need to do the calculations in the way that I describe in the next sections to come. So this first clip, you can see that the Kareen sweater is laid flat on the table, and there's the curve in the shoulder that I was discussing. Immediately next to it, I've got a set-in sleeve design of mine, the night sweater, and you can see just there as I'm hovering over that detail that the shoulder profiles of each sweater are the same. That's what we're aiming for with our raglan draft. In this instance, I've just got the Kareen sweater laid flat, and I'm just pinching out the extra length through the center that I've created using short row shaping. So this is what I mean when I say that the garment will not lie flat. This is the kind of shape that we're aiming for, and this is the room that we've given the shoulder to sit more comfortably when worn. So I've just pinched it out to exaggerate, and if you were to fold your paper cutouts, you would get something like this as well. But that is the primary aim of the game with a tailored raglan. We're looking to get that extra fabric through the middle. Okay, so here I am wearing the Kareen sweater, and you can see just there, just where I've got the cursor, that you can kind of pick out the short row shaping just from the way the fabric is behaving. But you can also see that the fabric is also quite relaxed throughout. You can see that the rib is pretty consistent. Now, going back to what I was mentioning about ribs being used to compensate for the engineering, What you often notice with patterns that have got lots of cable and rib going through them is that it's typically always overstretched when going through the shoulder bone area. Always, always, always. And depending on the yarn or the gauge and whatever, sometimes it can even start wearing thinner in that area as well, depending on the profile of your body. But this is how it should look, though I say it myself, when you have a raglan that has got enough fabric in it. You've got the strain, you haven't got strain going through the arm at rest or when it's going down. It's looking fairly even still. So, yeah, and I'll just go to this one. I think you can just about, it is a bit out of focus, but hopefully you can still see. Just around here again, plenty of room to move with the fabric. So this draft was based on the lowest crown height of the sleeve. Let me go to the next photo, that might be better. And so my arm is down. I think for me, because I based it on my size chart rather than my actual body measurements, I've got probably too much ease going through for my shoulders. But because when I drafted this pattern, I incorporated about 3 short row shaping wedges. That just means that having given the knitter the prompt to measure their arm in this way, they can then be informed about how much short row shaping to work through for their body shape. So if you do use short row shaping, try to break it up a little bit. So for me, because I've got 3 lots of it here, you can just about see where I've got the cursor. You can see the triangular wedge for a couple of them because I didn't space them out very much. Again, because it's not tailored for me, it's like that. But if you add short row shaping, I would do it in a way that allows the corner of the shoulder to be turned with more freedom. So rather than doing a big old wedge, you can break it up and space it out however you need to. What I did with this particular pattern was, and again, this is another one with the S-curve shaping, because the shaping on the sleeve does not match the shaping on the body. That's the first thing I will point out. So there's alternate row shaping going in towards the neck where it's getting narrower, as I was explaining, but going through the body and through the sleeve, the decreases do not fall at the same rate. You've got some areas of 4th row shaping and some areas of shaping on every 6th row, for example, but those are not matching up because they don't need to match up. Again, I'm just putting what the body shape is doing, what the body shape needs before any other shaping plotting. And so he's leaving behind the idea that shaping needs to match and what the fitting needs are for the body in that area. So, I mean, you can, but also if you're worried about matching things, you can see that it doesn't actually smack you in the face a huge amount, the shaping here. You've got the styling detail here where the seam is running along each other, but it's not really, it doesn't really make the design ugly or detract from it, seeing that the rib shaping does not match from one part, from the sleeve to the body. I mean, you can see it here, just where I've got the cursor. You can see that there's a rate of shaping here, according to how the rib stitches are disappearing into the pearls just here. I hope this is big enough. And then if you look to the sleeve, you can see that the shaping is much more gradual going through this point. This rib stitch is disappeared, and this one has taken ages to go. And in that time on the body, there's about 2 more that have been got rid of in that space. So the shaping, so the actual number of rows in the seam itself where it's joined is identical, but the short rows have made the sleeve longer. So again, so you're controlling the rate of the shaping. So if you need to shape at different rates on the body and sleeve, do it. Chances are you will need to. The main thing is that so long as they fit together at the seams, or they can fit together at the seams where you need to join them, then what you do on either side of that for each pattern piece is absolutely fine. So when you come to draft your own, especially if you are using different body measurements or your own body measurements rather than the size chart, depending on how you are shaped, you will have different things to achieve as far as the shaping is concerned. So if I get another one up, this one here, and again, just a little bit further out so you can see how it looks. So I've got both my arms down in this shot. And again, not a huge amount of pulling. You can see that between the shoulder on the arm and the chest, the rib is fairly equally stretched through there. So it is possible, I promise. Even if I hadn't done this in a moss stitch rib, which I wanted to do partly because Karian's original sweater had that pattern on it. Let me just find it here. Yeah, she had that pattern on her sleeves. That was part of the reason for choosing that one. I couldn't choose them all. I wasn't going to do cables, but this was her college jumper that I wanted to pay tribute to for her, not just use her yarn, hence the usage of that. Compound S-curve shaping for the body and sleeve, and then we also had the overarm shaping or the short rows to get the length through the center of the arm where it's at its fullest. And if you incorporate those two principles into any raglan sweater that you knit from here on, I promise you the fit will be so much better than you're accustomed to. There'll be no more pulling at the neck or anything uncomfortable like that you might have experienced previously. So if you want to learn more about how to draft patterns like that, I have a tailored sleeves masterclass which tells you everything you need to know about drafting set-in sleeves and raglan sleeves. Or if you want to have a closer look at the Karian sweater, it's in my shop now, and the details for both are in the description below. So thanks very much for watching. If you found this helpful, the usual stuff, like it, share it, and let other knitters know about it as well, so that if they're having any raglan fitting problems, then they can solve them too. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.